We are joined tonight by UFC Flyweight Josh Sampo. How are you doing tonight, Josh?
I'm doing great, doing great. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. Right now we're still waiting on a opponent to be announced for your next fight. Take us through a day in the life of Josh Sampo when you're not in an official training camp.
Right now it's a little bit difficult because hopefully this won't be going on for much longer. But I'm teaching summer school, and so that occupies most of my day from 5 o'clock in the morning till about 1 a.m. And once I'm done with that, I come home and take a half hour to an hour nap. And then when I'm done with that, I'll go hit up some open mat, get some jiu-jitsu rolling in, things of that nature. If I don't already have a scheduled meeting with my strength conditioning coach, which I usually do 3 days a week. After that, then it's like a structured MMA class for about 2 hours, and if that day permits, then we usually go on to striking on after that. If not, then go and hit the weights again by myself at my normal training gym, or get a good running, get some cardio in, and then some strength training, and then home, get a good meal, and then wake up and do it all again.
All right, yeah. Teaching summer school. I did my research and saw you studied biology and chemistry in college. Is that what you're teaching the youngins?
Yeah, currently right now, I'm in the summer school, so, and I work for an alternative high school, but they all have their own set class that they're in, and I'm just helping them move along in their courses. But yeah, I'm certified in high school biology, and that's what I want to teach later on in the future.
All right, cool, cool. Yeah, I was doing my research and read you like to wake up for 4 a.m. or at 4 a.m. for an early morning run. Have you always been that much of a early morning guy, or?
Not necessarily, but with the last couple of fights that I've had so much on my plate, so that's the only time that I've been able to get up to get some road work in, and it's a great way to start the day, get you going, get your body ready for the day and the tasks at hand. But yeah, with having grad school or teaching or whatever the case may be in front of me for the past few fights, I've had to get up at 4 a.m. to get some road work in.
Jeez, man, you are dedicated as hell. You gotta respect that. Let's get more to the martial arts. You're a three-time All-American wrestler, a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, meaning most opponents probably don't want to see a fight against you go to the mat. Between wrestling and BJJ, which do you like training over the other?
I mean, I've trained wrestling so much in my life, it's kind of something that I wouldn't say I'm bored with, but I really really enjoy jiu-jitsu much much more because it's a constant learning. There's always something new. There's always a new setup or a new submission or a new sweep that's being taught to me. But wrestling is the ultimate get you in shape kind of training. You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing better than just training traditional wrestling. So I enjoy them both extremely much, but jiu-jitsu is probably where I really, it's more of a mental thing. It teaches you a lot of new moves, a lot of new technique, that never is going to change. There's always something new to learn. Whereas wrestling, it's kind of just keeping your timing. You kind of max out when it comes to moves in wrestling, but I mean, there's always new tricks and trades here and there, but it's never something that dramatic as far as jiu-jitsu goes.
It's an interesting take. I like it. You said it might be a little while before you fight again, but do you have anyone in mind as your next opponent? I actually saw on your Twitter feed there might be a little bit of interest in a fight against Martinez, as both of you share the nickname of the Gremlin.
I got offered to fight Danny Martinez a few months ago, but with my schedule again, I just me and my coaches had talked, and it wasn't wise to take that fight on that time schedule. I told Sean Shelby that I'd love to fight. I'd love to fight the gentleman. He's a tough, hard-nosed guy, but just not on that show that they had projected. So unfortunately, that would have been last weekend. And then I saw that he had lost a close fight to Scott Jorgensen, and somebody tweeted that, and so I retweeted it. And I'd love to fight the guy, but whoever they want to put in front of me that's going to help move me along the rankings and up to that ultimate goal is definitely what I'm looking forward to. So whatever the UFC wants is what I'm up for.
Yeah, I would love seeing the Gremlin versus the Gremlin. I love people asking where they got their nickname from, so I've got to ask you, where did the Gremlin come from?
It honestly came from a couple teammates. I'm a big advocate for the fact that you shouldn't be able to choose your own nickname because it's not what you call yourself, it's what everybody else calls you, you know. And so I was at practice, this was multiple years ago. I can't remember the exact date, but I was rolling jiu-jitsu with a larger teammate of mine. I wrestled at 125 in college. He wrestled at like 184, I think it was, and I was trying to choke him. I took his back, and I had his back, and I was kind of slipping a rear naked choke, and he was fighting my hands off pretty well, and I don't even know where I came up with it. I'm kind of a goofy guy, I guess you could say, and I started biting his ear just to kind of get him to take focus off my wrist, off of the wrist control that he had, and he ended up letting go of my wrist to grab for his ear, and I slipped the choke in and finished him, and he threw me off and was like, "Get off me, you stinking gremlin," and it just kind of stuck. And another teammate heard it, and it just kind of took off from there. It wasn't a wildfire that I could put out at that time.
That's actually one of the best stories I've ever heard. That's awesome. You said you're a bit goofy, so I'm gonna ask you kind of a nerdy question because I saw you actually retweeted Stipe Miocic saying, "RT, if you aren't in the new UFC game." Has the UFC reached out to you or anyone else, as far as you know, explaining why the roster on that game is so small? Because from what I understand, almost every fighter did a facial scan for EA Sports.
I didn't even do a facial scan, so I mean, I know for a fact I think they did all their hard stuff like right before I got signed. I only got signed to UFC back in November, so I'm assuming that they did all of their data load and all that stuff before that point. And it was just, I saw that tweet, I was like, hey, let's keep this one going, you know? So it would have been cool to really get on that game. I feel there's three things that you need to know that you've made it as a professional athlete, and one of them is being in a video game or being a character you can select to be in a video game. So I mean, it would have been cool to be on the game, but I mean, definitely not something I'm butthurt about.
Yeah, you've got a really bright future. I would put money down on you either being in this game later on when they do all the DLC stuff, or being in a future version. I've got to ask about the missed weight back at the TUF 18 finale. You ended up beating Ryan Benoit, but missing weight by 1.5 pounds made you ineligible for the $100,000 in bonus money that would have been coming your way. Now, it's not like you're not a disciplined fighter. In fact, you actually took the fight on short notice, just 10 days before the weigh-ins. Do you think it was unfair for Zuffa to punish you, despite you taking the fight on extremely short notice?
No, I don't think it's unfair by any means. I mean, rules are rules, and the weight issue was 100%, in my hands. If I would have been a little bit more disciplined with the weight cut beforehand, I mean, there's a few factors that were 100% in my control. You know what I mean? I could have ate a little bit less, or I could have started training a little bit before that. But, it was just a time factor, and it was unfortunate. But, I mean, I look back at the scenario, and multiple people have asked me the same question, and it's like, dude, God works in mysterious ways. It's amazing how at that time I could have used that $100,000, but I didn't need the money. Like, I had a full-time job. I made every dollar I expected to make in that fight. I made my win bonus and everything, you know what I mean? So I made every dollar I was expecting to make that I was banking on. That extra bonus money would have been great. I mean, I could have paid off student loans. I could have bought a new vehicle, multiple things, but I did not need that money. Looking in retrospect, I look back on it, and I've even read a few articles on it that my opponent had just had a baby, had just got married. His car broke down driving to the airport to leave for the fight. Like, he needed that money severely bad just to, survive, And the fact that it all went to him, it makes me feel much more comfortable in that fact that, his wife and his kid is taken care of, you know what I mean? It didn't just go back to the executives, or it didn't go back to the state commission. It didn't just kind of get lost in translation. It went to a good cause, or it's going to be put to good use, and people are getting taken care of, so.
Yeah, you gotta respect the way you handled the whole thing so maturely. talking about weight, last Saturday John Dodson fought John Moraga, and the morning of the fight, he did weigh in at 125 the day before, but morning of, he posted a picture of him weighing in at 152, which is thought of as pretty high for a flyweight. What are you usually weighing on fight night?
I'm actually quite surprised that he bumped up that large. Like, if you look at him, he's not that, he doesn't have that big of a frame. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know what he did or if he ate some really, really dense food or what the case is. But normally when I weigh in, I check my weight before I go to bed. And I usually check my weight the morning of as well. Usually the day of, I'm around 42, 43. So I've gained a significant amount of weight, but it's nothing out of the realm. The 50, that's almost too much. I get to the point to where I feel like if I've got so much fluid in me, I feel like a balloon about to burst. So I usually get a great workout in that morning of the fight just to sweat a lot of it out and get back to where my body's used to competing at a high output. And but the fact that he was up at that high of a weight category just kind of it baffles me. I'm kind of curious as to how it happened, if that's a normal thing as well.
Yeah, I've noticed some fighters will sort of keep it balanced, keep it healthy right after a weigh-in. Other fighters will just go hog wild. Which group are you in after a weigh-in?
I keep everything in check. Like, in order for me to perform at my optimal level, I have to be at a comfortable, competitive weight. And that 40 realm is right where I'm usually at. Usually the week of the fight, if I'm floating around 38, 140, then I'm perfect where I'm used to being. I'm comfortable. I know I can make the weight cut, get down to 125 with no problem. So that's about where I expect to be. And I don't feel sluggish by any means. Nothing sitting in my stomach. I think that's kind of how I did a lot of my wrestling matches too. That's about the right amount of weight that I would be at when I competed in wrestling too. So my body's used to that, for the multiple years that I've done wrestling and cut all that weight in wrestling and competed at high levels for that. It's just carried over into mixed martial arts.
All right, if you were in the group though going hog wild, what would your number one cheat meal be?
Ooh, cheat meal. So this is post weigh-in.
Post are will say because you do it clean, you weighed in, you won, you traveled back home, and now you're getting dinner with buddies and family and all that stuff.
It's honestly funny, man. After I beat Alexa Vila back in the year ago in January, we went back to our hotel and all I wanted was a steak and a beer. That's all I was craving was a steak and a beer. So I mean, that's probably going to be my vice. Just a good steak dinner, nice hearty beer, good Bud Light maybe. But that's it. I mean, there's really not much food. When I'm in training camp, I eat extremely healthy, and that's just kind of my lifestyle. I really don't divulge much other than that. I will, touch into some sweets. After every fight, I usually stop by a little Italian bakery and grab a couple cannolis and a cream horn or something like that. But I don't really go that too hog wild either.
Word. Final question. You are a UFC flyweight, so I would feel remiss if I didn't ask you about this Saturday's UFC Flyweight Championship fight. We've got the champion, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, looking for his fourth title defense against the Russian Ali Baga-Otinov. Who do you think wins that one?
I'm extremely excited about this fight. I think that the Russian has the skill set to dethrone him, but as Mighty Mouse has proven every time he gets so much better within every fight. I think that the Russians can have a large issue with Mighty Mouse's speed, his great movement, his great footwork. So I think I'm going to give it to the champ on a 5-round decision. That's my projection, but I expected the same kind of thing with him and Benavidez, and he ends up knocking Benavidez out. So, I mean, you never know what can happen at any time. But that's kind of how I projected going, like a long, grueling fight. The Russian trying to chase him down, him just countering, getting in and out, hitting him a lot more, and just putting the leather to his face. So.
Yeah. Johnson's a pretty good favorite there. Josh, thank you so much for taking your time. Any plugs, sponsors, Twitter, anything?
You can follow me on Twitter at JSampoMMA. I want to thank some of my sponsors, On It, SC MMA, and Mom and Dad, of course. They're amazing. just everybody that helps me, do what I do. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. And, of course, number one, God, and I thank him for everything. Just thanks for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Get up on it. Thanks again, Josh. Have an awesome night.
You too, man. I'll talk to you later.